I did my very first top landing at Grallia a few weeks ago and it felt great.
First top land at Grallia!
So great that I've been trying to get better at top landing ever since, with a bit of help from Andre.
Small break, both. Aboard!
What I usually do when I'm learning a new skill is I watch other people doing it first. So I decided to have a few minutes of watching Andre playing around. Got a way of making things look really effortless and fun, so after a few minutes I was getting ready to have a go, but first I asked him if he'd give me a few pointers.
Maybe.
So a good thing to do before you start trying lots of top landings is to get a feel for the stall point of your wing in different conditions. This gives you a better idea of how much brake travel you have and what input is needed to bring you down safely and without a sudden collapse. That's one of the reasons we love ground handling on takeoff so much, because you can practice these stalls and you can also simulate your takeoffs and your landings on a slight slope. It's useful to make a good assessment of the wind strength before you take off for your top landing practice. If it's a bit too light, you might not get enough initial height above that ridge and you'll probably end up bottom landing, which is obviously fine and should always remain the safest option.
I bottom landed.
On the other hand, if it's a bit too strong, you might get a bit too high and really struggle to safely lose that height over the takeoff. Or you might need to stay a bit further away from the ridge to avoid getting pinned or blown backwards by the Venturi.
Hi, doggy.
I started out by making some higher passes over takeoff. This was to get an idea of what my ideal landing height was, and I still had the option of flying straight out and back into ridge lift if I was too high, rather than having a potentially premature bad landing being too low.
Wow! More break, more break, more break, more break, more break! Nice! Hey! Why are you exalping, man? Exalping! Fucking landing in the smallest bits!
A good pattern for losing lift over the ridge is to perform some wide S motions, making sure to time your final approach into wind rather than coming in downwind and far too fast. Nice and gentle.
Nice!
I was a bit reluctant to go too far downwind initially because I thought that I would come down too low, but as I got a bit braver I realised that going a bit further downwind meant that when I turned to come back I would be landing nice and gently and nice and slowly into wind. So having their wind directly on the hill will make things a bit easier. Of course, when you've got a bit more experience, you can practice doing a bit of crosswind landing too. It's a good idea to get out of the seat nice and early so that your landing gear is down and ready to land. and you should also be prepared to ground handle the wing so that you're not caught off guard or dragged around, as the wind can be quite a bit stronger here on takeoff than it is with a bottom landing. Another good thing to bear in mind is other pilots. Here, Andre decided to go quite a bit further downwind and away from the takeoff to lose his height. I think it was probably to have a little bit of fun as well whilst losing the height, but he's avoiding becoming an obstruction for anyone taking off and landing, which is always a good thing.
Hello, trying to land on me? You did a good job. Nearly got me in the face.
We're quite lucky to know these sites quite well, and we fly them regularly too, so that really helps us to know a bit about where the rotor is and how to avoid it. But if we do ever turn up to a new site, we usually try and get a brief from local pilots and do a bit of our own research beforehand too. So that's just my perspective on top landing, and I'm still learning, but I think I'm getting better with practice and I'm having lots of fun trying. As always, we want to say a big thank you to all these people who support our channel. If you like these kind of videos and want to see more, please consider supporting us on Patreon or directly on YouTube by hitting the join button, or you can subscribe to us. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time. Bye!